What's up, motherfucker?
Hold on, I hope y'all watching this shit.
First round, real quick.
People that are in those training rooms with him know how good.
Because he just knocks dudes out real quick in the first round.
Yeah, but now we're gonna get a good. I might fuck with this guy. He just, to me, I thought he was a con artist. No, just based off his look.
They're edgy. Holy shit! What the hell just happened? What's up, motherfuckers? Welcome to G.W.R. GONZO'S Wrestling Room Monday, February 14th, 2022. Joined by my dad, Tony Gonzalez. So we have special guest pro wrestler, the #1 overall pick, Blake Money Wright, joining us. How you doing today?
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Oh, thanks for coming on. You had a big we'll jump right into it. You had a big match over the weekend at Thunder Blunder 2 against Jake Oman. One of the best matches I've seen, not just this year, but I've watched. Period. How you feeling after that match?
Thank you, Chris. Definitely appreciate it. Glad that you guys enjoyed the match and got your money's worth. But definitely after taking over 40 chest kicks, a little sore to say the least. I actually watched the match back immediately afterwards in the locker room, and then I ended up watching it actually this morning. And I was texting Jake, and I was like, we both threw over 40 chest kicks. So we're well, I can't speak for Jake, but at least for me, I'm pretty beat up after that one. But definitely worth it.
Yeah, it was a great match. Really enjoyed it.
I saw Walter had said something about the ending was supposed to be different or something. Is that something you can elaborate on?
I mean, it isn't ballet, when you're going there and you're throwing very snug and stiff strikes. Some things can happen, but honestly, with how it went, I couldn't think of a better ending than that. So,
is it over between you two, or is there going to be another match?
Far from over. I mean, I've only been wrestling for about a year now. Jake's been wrestling for 16 years. For those that don't know, he's my trainer, arguably my greatest rival. So far from over. I think that I'd be remiss at Thunder Blunder 3 if Jake and I didn't have our rematch. So definitely not our last one. I still think that we have plenty of options and plenty of matches down the road.
Yeah, I seen some fans online calling out wanting an Iron Man match, a 1 hour Iron Man match between you guys.
We'd be down for it. I know he would be too, I think. But yeah, I mean, if we can get a promotion to put that together, I'd absolutely be down to go 1 hour with Jake. I think bell to bell. Our last match, we went a good 27 minutes, and I think that if the fans want it, and I want it, and he wants it, if we can get a promotion to put it together, well, I think we'd both be happy to agree for a 60-minute Ironman match, and I think that'd be a hell of a match.
Yeah, I think so too.
That was a hell of a way to kick that show off with your guys' match. I mean, because that was definitely could have been a main event on any card.
Any other time that we've wrestled, it's usually been a main event. At WCWO, we had 3 matches there, all of which were in the main event. My first match was actually against him too. I mean, we've wrestled probably 7 or 8 times now, and usually we're towards late in the night. But I think now bookers know that when you book that match, it's going to be the match of the night. So be careful on where you put that in the card, because I think a lot of talent out there are going to have a hard time following that. So, but thank you. Yeah, no, I definitely think that whenever we're in the ring together, it's a main event quality match.
I don't know if you can say or not. Like you just said, you wrestled 7 or 8 times now. Can you put which one was your favorite?
I mean, it's definitely tough. Before that match, it was the steel cage match that we had outside to end our first feud. But honestly, I think that match that him and I had this past Saturday is probably my favorite match that I've ever had. So, I mean, whenever him and I wrestle, it usually just gets better and better every single time. So, I think I'm going to have to go with this past Saturday's match at Thunder Blunder 2.
Yeah, like I said, and it's still real early in the year, but I don't know how anybody's going to beat that match this year for match of the year. I mean, there were some really great matches on that card, Thunder and Blunder too. You guys were my favorite by far, and I don't see how anybody's going to beat it.
Fun fact: WCWO, I believe it was a couple of weekends ago, had their award show, and Jake and I actually, our cage match won match of the year. So so hopefully every single year we keep on winning the match of the year, and I think that we're both, whenever we're in the ring together, the chemistry that we have, we're capable of doing that every time.
Yeah, I've watched that video of your guys' cage match, and it was real good. But I think the one this past weekend was even better than the cage match.
Think alike, and I appreciate that.
Well, and not only did you guys have to fight each other in the cage, you guys had to fight the weather. That wasn't the best weather for that cage match that night.
I think it was like right around the Indy 500 time of the year. So we were expecting it, to be, hey, it's going to be at night, so maybe like high 60s, low 70s. But I think it was like 35 degrees and raining, and both of us pretty much wrestle in our underwear. So that was tough, especially with a wet ring too. But I think honestly, I couldn't have booked a better day to have that match, because I think the cold weather just added to the element of the match.
And you'd only been wrestling a few months at that time, hadn't you?
Yeah, I was probably only about 5 or 6 months in, I'd say.
Having to deal with the elements and the ring being slippery and stuff. I mean, that's a whole different issue.
I mean, yeah, because wrestling itself is still very new to me, but like battling those elements of a slick ring canvas and and it being wet, so you're picking up. I'm picking up 245-pound Jake Oman, when he's still slippery wet. It's definitely not an easy thing, especially wrestling in the rain. I never want to do that again. So,
yeah, I understand that.
I don't know if you can see the comments when I put them up there, but Dex Royal just said Blake's a cool dude.
Yeah, dude, Dex is a good dude, hell of a professional wrestler, and he's got a hell of a bright future too, man. Him and I are both two young and hungry dudes, and I think him and I will both be around for multiple decades.
Let me ask you this. We've been down to WCWO, and I know you train there, and also with Jake Oman and stuff. But the class of people that they have there, young people that's came in the last year or two or whatever, that's had to help you get better, because you got so many young guys that are so hungry and pretty good talent. And I mean, if you might have went to another school that didn't have that, I think that's really a big advantage, I would think.
So actually kind of a funny story about how we ended up getting there. So Jake and I were actually training in a horse barn out in Chesterfield, Indiana. And we actually lost that horse barn. It wasn't officially Jake's. I mean, I was training in like a 30-degree horse barn, and every single time I'd hit the canvas, horses would be going crazy. It smelled like horse manure. It was very humble beginnings. And so we actually lost that because the person that owned that building wasn't a big fan of WCWO, and he figured out I was wrestling there. So he said, hey, if Blake's going to be wrestling at WCWO, he's not going to be training here anymore. And so then we had to find a new training place, and that's when we found WCWO, and the rest is kind of history. I mean, when I first got there, WCWO, they were kind of going through a transitional period where a lot of their normal main event guys, where a lot of their normal like top guys were actually leaving WCWO. So when I got there, it was myself, Dex Royal, and a highlight reel, and for the past year, we put the company on our back, every single night. And, we were all four hungry dudes. And now it's awesome, because now, you see the next batch of young, hungry dudes that are there. You've got loud and proud Logan Myers, who's actually my roommate. And he's busting his butt out there every single Friday, making a name for himself. You've got Rachel Armstrong, who is so hardworking, has so much talent. I mean, the sky's the limit for her. You know, you've got JB, you know, you've got Dutch Boy Platinum. So it's awesome just because, you know, WCWO and Jake Oman and Joey Owens, they're so good at, you know, just keeping the next group of guys there. Like, it kind of reminds me of, like, obviously on a smaller scale, of like the prime days of NXT. You know, there's always a new young guy coming up.
Yeah, I can see that definitely. I mean, I can see you guys having rivalries with with each other. Trying to see who could be the best and stuff. It just makes you better.
You know, I think it's like a healthy competition. I mean, if one of us has success somewhere, you know, we're hyping each other up. You know, there's no egos there. You know, Jake Oman and Joey Owens, they do a phenomenal job of, you know, keeping us all humble. Even though, you know, myself, Dex, and the twins have had quite a bit of success early on in our careers. You know, they've done a good job at, you know, keeping us grounded and, you know, keeping us hungry.
Well, you can tell definitely you guys are at WCW a family. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. I've got to see you guys train just one time before a show that we were setting up for, and I was really impressed by it. And and I can tell when I'm around the guys and the level of respect that you guys give people. You guys are being trained right, and definitely are definitely a family.
I mean, anyone that's watching this, that's considering getting into the wrestling business, I couldn't think of a better place because, you know, I'll tell every single new guy that walks through that door.
We lost him for a second. He'll be back.
Don't hear the sound though.
No, can't hear you.
I wanted to hear what he was saying.
Let me see if I re-add him. Can you hear us?
You hear me okay?
Can you hear him?
Now we can hear you.
Yeah.
So what I was saying is that, you know, I tell anyone that's watching this that's considering getting in the pro wrestling business, you know, reach out to WCWO, reach out to Jake Oman, just because, you know, you're so lucky there, because not only do you have three, I think Joey just bought his fourth ring, you have 4 rings to use. But the amount of experience you have there, you have Jake, who's a 16-year veteran. You know, you have Joey Owens, who's been doing this since he could walk. You know, you could have Hillbilly Jed, who's been doing this for a long time. You got PT Hustler. You know, you got all these dudes, you know, like, I think all combined over 100 years worth of pro wrestling experience. You know, I think it'd be very foolish to not give 1151 South Kentucky Avenue a shot.
Yeah, and where it's located at, being in Indianapolis, it's kind of centrally located. From even if you're an hour away or so, you know, it's kind of in the middle of the state, so that makes it kind of nice.
I know we're impressed with how you guys keep the storylines going every week and always coming up with something new. It's fun to watch.
People understand, like, just how difficult that can be. You know, I was at WCWO for a little over a year. You know, and like, you have to always be evolving as a character. You know, when I first got there, I was like the number one good guy, and then, you know, after a while I was like, okay, I think it's time to be, you know, a bad guy, and I was the number one bad guy, and I was the champion there, I was the owner there. Like, it's hard, but I mean, when you run every single week, you know, at an indie promotion, you have to constantly be evolving as a character. So, like, you look about a year ago, you know, I was the number one good guy, and, you know, to use Dex and the twins as an example, you know, they were the number one bad guys. You fast forward, you know, a year later, you know, when I left there, you know, I was the number one bad guy, and they were the number one good guy. So, I mean, that's just what you got to do. You got to keep things fresh, and, you know, it's a lot easier said than done, because, you know, there's injuries, there's travel stuff. You know, I mean, COVID is still a thing, so it's definitely easier said than done, for sure.
You think it's an advantage? It was an advantage for you coming in as a new guy and being at a place like WCWO where you got to wrestle every week because you're getting a lot more experience in some of these promotions that run just once a month or once every other month or whatever.
Just because like when you're a pro wrestler, if you're gonna get, if you're gonna be great at this, it's something that you have to do every single day. It's kind of like riding a bike. You gotta have at it, to learn it, and then after that, you just keep practicing every day, and eventually you're going to be great at it. You can ride with no handlebars, you can do a wheelie, all this. So yeah, I mean it's huge, just because we train every Sunday and Tuesday, and then Friday night we'd have a show. So there's 3 days already that you're in the ring, and it's up to you as a professional to fill up your schedule. So having a place to wrestle every week is great because when you're new to the business, there's no such thing as being hurt. There's no such thing as taking days off. So, so it's huge to have a place where you can wrestle at least every single week.
You have one, Dad?
Go ahead.
You kind of mentioned it. Let's talk a little bit about your exit from WCWO. Was that just thinking it was time to expand, or?
I have no, bad feelings towards WCWO. So if there's anyone that thinks that, get that out of your head. It's just there's only so many pages in a good book, right? Like I was talking about earlier, being the number one good guy and, having the heavyweight title there and being the number one bad guy and, being the owner even for a little bit, there's only so many stories you can tell. So yeah, I think it was just time to, like you said, to expand and try new things. So now every single Friday I'm at a Future Great Wrestling in Cincinnati, Ohio, learning under Cody Hawk. One day I'll probably, be wrestling at WCWO, but I think my days of being there every week are at least on pause for now. But absolutely love that place. That place is my first home, and it definitely wasn't an easy thing to leave WCWO, but I've got nothing but respect and love for that place.
What would you say the name of that? Future Great
Wrestling, and they're in the Cincinnati, Ohio area. So it's run by Cody Hawk, who actually trained John Moxley, Sammy Callahan, Eli Drake.
Yeah.
So lots of good dudes. So that's where the new home of BMW will be on Fridays for a little while.
Sounds interesting. I definitely understand, making that move. And like I said, you got to try different things and branch out. And you can't stay in one place, all the time. You got to move forward. So it makes sense.
I definitely missed the 30-minute drive to the show on Friday, because now I'm making a 2.5-hour drive on Fridays. But change is good. But yeah, one day I'll be back there. But just for now, I just thought that was the best move for my career.
It makes sense to me. Definitely.
Do you have any set place like on Saturdays, or Saturday just kind of at different promotions as you can get booked?
Usually, like my two set places, at least for now, is Thursday, IWA Mid-South. They're taking a little break right now. They're actually getting ready to move into a building. So Thursday, IWA Mid-South, Friday, Future Great Wrestling, and then Saturday is really my travel day. So I can be really anywhere on any given Saturday. Same goes for Sundays. So except the last Sunday of the month, you'll see me at Warrior Pro Wrestling, which is Buck Sexton's promotion. So, but yeah, Saturdays, you never really know where to see me. So just look at my Instagram. I'm usually pretty good at sharing flyers on there and show them where I'll be.
Yeah, we're gonna be at that Warrior Pro show on the 27th of this month.
Yeah.
I'm wrestling Brandon Espinoza, so I'm looking forward to that. And Buck's put a lot of hard work in that promotion. He always wanted to have his own company, and it's been beautiful to see how much his show has grown. I think this will be his 6th show, if I'm not mistaken. So it's awesome to see the growth and the consistency with his company. And I'm excited to be his first champion, and I'm really excited to see where we can, how big we can make this company.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, we were supposed to be at the last Warrior Pro show, but I unfortunately ended up with COVID, so we didn't get to go to that one. But we'll be at the next one though.
Ah, man. Well, happy to hear though that you fully recovered. I know COVID is definitely no joke. So,
yeah,
glad to hear you're healthy, man.
Yeah, we're looking forward to checking out Warrior Pro. We've heard a lot of good things about it.
Some familiar faces that you've seen at WCWO there, and I mean, kind of like any show around Indianapolis, you'll see a lot of similar talent. But Buck's a great promoter, and he's a great guy to work for.
Yeah, he seems like a real nice guy. We met him. Talked to him on the air, and then we met him down at WCWO this past weekend.
I mean, he's a very creative guy too. I mean, his mind's always running with new ideas. He'll message me at least once a week with a new idea. And, it's awesome to work for someone who has such a passion for promoting.
Do you have any other? You have any big matches coming up?
I think my next match that I'm really excited about that I can speak of. I've got a few coming up that I can't speak of yet, just because they haven't been advertised. But on March 5th, I'm having my rematch against Rohit Raju up at RCW in South Bend, Indiana. Rohit Raju is a former Impact X Division champion, arguably one of the best free agents right now in the world. So I wrestled him at White River Wrestling in December, and we had a great match then. So I'm really excited to be wrestling him here in a couple of weeks up in South Bend, Indiana.
Go ahead, Dad.
Go ahead.
RCW, is that the Ruthless Championship Wrestling?
Championship Wrestling, yeah, and it's up in South Bend, Indiana, and they usually run about once a month, I'd say.
You got any other big things coming up that you can talk about?
Yeah, so this Friday I'll be back at Future Great Wrestling. Not sure what I'm doing there quite yet. And then Saturday, I'll be at GW.R in downtown Indianapolis. They're having a big tournament to crown their new blood champion, and I'll be in that tournament. So I believe I've got Percy Drews in the round 1, and not sure whoever I'm going to see in round 2, 3, and 4, but you best believe you'll see me in the finals of that one.
That's a
We were already booked
big
somewhere.
tournament.
We've been going down to that show. I said if we was already booked for DCCW, or we would have been going down to AWR to check it out.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely support my king. He's a good dude. He gave me some bookings, very early on, my career when I was having a hard time filling out my calendar. So I believe Logan will be there Saturday. A bunch of good dudes. I think the Rock and Roll Express is working the Twins, and I'm so excited for them to have that.
Yeah.
They're going to kill it. So I don't know. I think that may be like the first big name that they've worked. I know they had a little spot with Rikishi at the last one, but I'm really excited to see them, wrestling arguably the greatest tag team of all time.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
I'm excited. I'm real excited for that match. I was a big Rock and Roll Express fan growing up as a kid, so it's gonna be fun to get to meet them. And then I think them and the High Right Rule are gonna put on a show in that main event.
I'm excited to hear they got the main event, because they definitely deserve that. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching that one on YouTube or on your guys' live stream after my show for sure.
Marcus Fine wanted to know who was your favorite opponent.
Well, I mean, I think it's obvious. My favorite opponent would be Jake Oman, but to name a couple more of my favorite guys to wrestle. So I love wrestling Jake Oman. I love wrestling Rohit Raju. You know, I've wrestled TJP. That was fun. Wrestling Shannon Moore was a blast. And I love wrestling Logan Myers, man. I mean, I think just because him and I were two close buddies. We were both trained by Jake Oman, and you know our styles meshed so well. But and also I would say Calvin Tankman too to close off that list. All those dudes I've had a blast wrestling. But really I love wrestling people for the first time ever, because I mean you wrestle someone so many times, eventually it gets a little boring and it gets complacent. And I always love wrestling with someone that I haven't wrestled yet. So. But Jake Oman number one, but there's 5 other guys that I've definitely enjoyed wrestling.
Do you have any maybe some of the younger guys that are just getting it or newer in the business that you've worked with that have caught your eye?
You know, I mentioned Logan. You know, I think Logan, you know, right now out of that new crop of WCWO guys, I think he's got the brightest future for sure. Rachel Armstrong, you know, she's a tough girl, man. You know, I worked a tag team match with her. I mean, we were throwing her around, and she's tough. You know, she's actually one of my training partners too. So definitely enjoy wrestling her. But really, I mean, those are the only 2 new young people that get it, just because they remind me a lot of myself when I first started, and they both just want it. You know, you can tell. I mean, Logan, you know, if he has a Saturday open, you know, he's texting me like, "Hey man, where are you wrestling this Saturday? Is there any chance I can roll up there and get there with you?" And you got Rachel, who every single time I'm at training with her is asking my advice on something, and she actually listens to it too. So both of them, I think WCWO is in great hands with Logan Myers and Rachel Armstrong for the future of that promotion.
Then another one from Marcus Fine. Who is your Mount Rushmore of wrestling?
My Mount Rushmore of wrestling. So it's like, and I'll just assume that like it's like the greatest talent of all time. You know, I think, and it's hard to say who the GOAT is. Like, you know, in football, you can say, hey, well, you can go off Super Bowl rings, and in the NBA, hey, who's won the most finals? But in pro wrestling, it's hard. So if you ask me, my Mount Rushmore of, and I'll just go off of like strictly in-ring ability. Like I'm not going to count, you know, promos or how many T-shirts they sold or how many manias they main evented. So if I had to go just off of pure wrestling ability, I think it would be Ric Flair, Bryan Danielson, Eddie Guerrero, and I'll say Kurt Angle. I think those 4 dudes are the 4 best in-ring talents I've ever seen. Some of them have similarities. Some of them, you know, are about the same, but they're killing it. And then I mean, like right now, guys that are killing it. You know, if you're not counting Flair, I mean, Bryan Danielson and CM Punk every single week are telling such great stories on television every single week. So. But that would be my Mount Rushmore, I would say, is those 4 dudes when it comes to just pure in-ring ability.
Yeah, I think Bryan Danielson's the best in the world right now, in my opinion. I don't know who's better.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, if someone were to ask me if I could wrestle anyone tomorrow, he would be my first choice. But yeah, Brian's on top of the world, man. He's next level.
Well, Marcus Fighter just kind of asked that question. Who do you dream of working with that you haven't?
I guess to name a couple, it would either be Bryan Danielson. I would say Katsuyori Shibata. Like he's my idol. You know, I based so much of my in-ring work off of Katsuyori Shibata, and he actually just made his return to pro wrestling. So Bryan Danielson, Katsuyori Shibata. And then and then another one would be Davey Richards. Those 3 dudes would be guys that I would love to wrestle. Like if I could say, hey, you can wrestle 3 dudes next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, those would be the three guys that I would pick.
And then let's see, there's another one here. Ryan LaFoon, when you going to join the Swisher Superstar brand?
Good old, good to hear from good old Beck Swisher. He's my boy. I haven't seen him in a little bit. I already thought I was a part of the Swisher Superstar brand, so I guess my contract would have must have gotten lost in the mail or something. So yeah, Beck, whenever you send that contract, man, I'll sign on the dotted line. So just be sure to add a couple zeros to the dollar amount. I got you.
Then we had Dwayne Mullinex. A match I want to see is Mike King versus Blake.
Mike King's got a company. I actually got in the ring with him for the first time at Warrior Show. I had to help out my guy Buck Sexton, even though he didn't need it. But yeah, no, I'd be down to wrestle Mike. I'd be happy to throw some kicks on him and hit him with that number one knee.
And maybe we could get a tag team match with you and Buck Sexton and Mike King get a partner. Maybe you guys come down to DCCW and put on a show.
Hey, I'm a phone call away. So if they book it, we can agree to it, and then let's do it, man. I'd love it.
Yeah, another thing that we got a wrestling podcast, and this coming Friday, we're going to record it. But we're doing a show. We're asking wrestlers and fans their top 10 tag teams of all time. And I was going to see maybe if you could maybe send Chris a list here in the next few days of your top 10 tag teams of all time. It can be any era. It could be your favorite. It could be who you think the best was. There's no wrong answer. So.
If we're counting current guys, I think the number one option would be FTR. I think they're the best tag team in the world. The match that they had against Punk and Mox this past Wednesday was phenomenal. So I would say FTR just because I'm not a big fan of like the high flying and the indie-rific, I guess, spots, if you will. I just like, hey, what's the story, and just good snug wrestling.
FTR really reminds me a lot of Arn Anderson or Tully Blanchard.
They're definitely a throwback, and they're next level, man. Anytime they're in the ring, they're great.
No, we had another comment. Marcus Fine said Shane Mercer versus Blake.
So Shane and we've actually wrestled before. I was maybe like 3 or 4 months in, and I had a blast. It was actually a 2 out of 3 falls match, and I'd love to wrestle Shane Mercer. I think it's only a matter of time before we wrestle each other again. But yeah, he's a fun dude to wrestle for sure. So any promotion that wants to book that, I'd be happy to go up against the Iron Demon Shane Mercer.
Yeah, Saturday night was the first. I'd seen him on video, but it was the first time I got to see him live, and he was impressive. A big dude.
He's I believe he holds many strongman records in the state of Kentucky. So he's so strong, man. I don't think people understand it, and I'm happy to see that he's getting all the success on the independents, and that the world is beginning to see just how talented he is. Because not only is he's a great wrestler, he's a great dude too.
All right. We also had what advice would you have for a wrestler in their third year? So I personally worked at a few promotions, but what could I do to be even more noticeable?
So it looks like you're coming in on year 3, so you've been doing it a little bit longer than me. But really, it would be just you got to fill out your calendar. You got to work for as many different promotions as you can. So, if your goal is to make a career out of this, and to build a fan base, your days of having weekends are pretty much over. So, I think a good starting point would be, finding a place to wrestle at least every single Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Unfortunately, that's one of the things that you have to sacrifice when being a professional wrestler. But, really it would be just having that mindset of taking absolutely no days off. And if you do that for, 6, 7 months consistently, you'll be surprised. So it would be that. And then I'm a firm believer too that training never stops. Jake Oman is still training me that to this day. I'm in the ring with him at least 2 days a week training. So that would be my my advice really. So just no days off.
What's your end goal in the wrestling? Is that your goals to be able to make a living off of wrestling?
I've been fortunate that I've been able to do that these past couple of months, but really mine is like I want to be a Mount Rushmore talent. I want to be up there with the guys that I mentioned earlier. I want to be up there with Bryan Danielson. I want to be up there with Kurt Angle. I want to be up there with Shibata. That's what I want to do. But really my next big goal would be to wrestle in Japan. I think that would be awesome. My trainer did it, and I'm just going to keep on working until I can accomplish that.
Is there any organizations around here that you haven't wrestled at yet that you're looking to get into, or not necessarily around here, like even like maybe like OVW or anything like that?
For OVW, before, I think just with my style of wrestling, it's not necessarily a good fit. It's kind of like having a pocket quarterback trying to play for the Army or Naval Academy when they're running an option offense. It's never going to work out. Like, it's just not going to fit. So really, if there's some companies that I want to wrestle for, it would be WWE or AEW. That's really my goal. That would be it. But I mean, if I'm naming off like some independent promotions, I think getting on, GCW, getting on the Warrior Pro Wrestling that's based out of the Chicago area. I think those would be, and I'd love to wrestle for the Collective. I'd love to wrestle for Bloodsport. I think my style is perfect for that. That would really be it. But the two big companies would be WWE, AEW, or somewhere in Japan. That'll always be my goal.
I think you would be, and I don't know if you'd be interested in that, but I think you would be a good fit, not to stay there, but a good fit to start out. And some other wrestlers have done that and went on to AEW. Would be NWA.
I'd love to be on NWA. They've got Matt Cardona, who's a dude that I've always wanted to wrestle. He's their world champion now. But yeah, I'd love to wrestle on NWA. I think it's cool what they're doing, and it's cool that they're keeping those three initials that were so synonymous in professional wrestling still relevant to this day. So, yeah, I'd love to wrestle there.
I think you'd be a real good fit there. And like I said, there's been a few guys that have moved on from there, went to AEW, and has had some pretty good, success. So,
absolutely.
We had another comment that said, it's from Leon. I'm probably Fahey. I'm probably saying the last name wrong. But said, what's the best way to get started on your pro wrestling journey?
I think the best advice that I could give is first get in good physical shape. Pro wrestling, it's not an easy thing. You got to have elite conditioning. So first off, I would say just try to get into the best shape possible of your life. That would be number one. And then number two would be finding good trainers. In my mind, I only think there's one good professional wrestling trainer in the state of Indiana, if that's where you're located, and that's Jake Oman. but it would be finding a good trainer. There's Jake Oman, there's the Black and Brave Academy that's run by Seth Rollins. There's Cody Hawk in Cincinnati, Ohio. There's the House of Truth up in Michigan, but you got to go to an elite school. Like you look at the NFL, you look at the first round picks. A lot of them are coming from the SEC, and that's for a reason, because they're getting good quote unquote training in college. So find an elite person to train under, and that would be number one, just because the thing that sucks about it is there's a lot of crappy training out there in the pro wrestling scene right now.
And you could tell the difference from a guy that's been trained by an elite trainer to a guy that's being trained by somebody that don't know what they're doing, or even somebody that knows what they're doing but aren't elite at it. You could tell the difference when you watch guys.
Because they stick out, like, I wouldn't even say like a sore thumb. They stick out like a big toe. Hey, that guy, he probably wasn't trained, or hey, this guy, he's maybe trained for a couple of weeks and was told to just go wrestle. Like, so it's all about just getting good education, just like anything in life, So I would say just good training will separate you to the next level.
Okay. Then Leon had another comment, said WCWO doesn't fall under crappy training, does it?
Absolutely not. I mean, it's like I think he must have missed the first half of the show. WCWO is you're going to get trained once you get to the advanced class. Like the beginners class, you're going to learn from Joey Owens, and then once you get to the advanced class, you're going to learn from Jake Oman. And those are two dudes that Jake's taught me from beginner to end, but you'll get great training there. Like at WCWO, if you just work hard, you're going to be good at this. But then again, pro wrestling, it's not for everybody. That it's really not. I've seen guys who look like bodybuilders. I've seen guys that have played college sports like myself. I have seen so many people come in and quit after 2 days. Like, some people are just, it's just never going to be meant to be, sadly. I wish it was for everybody, but in my mind, professional wrestling, it's a very elite fraternity. And yeah, but to answer that question, sorry to go on a tangent there, but no, WCWO does not fall under crappy training. It's a great place to train at.
Does Jake Oman train it? Does he do training anywhere else besides that WCWO? Or is that just where he's doing?
That's just where it is. So, so Joey Owens, he'll lead the beginners class, and then the advanced class is led by Jake Oman. So, so that's kind of how it works there.
You got anything else, Dad?
No.
Anything else you want to touch on, Blake, before we get out of here?
Support your local independents, wherever that is. Just look around on social media, look around for flyers. Just continue to support your local independents so we can all continue to do what we can. And feel free to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Blake Money Wright, one word. And just thank you guys for having me on. And also thank you for doing what you guys have done for the independent pro wrestling scene. I think it's been awesome, for you guys to stream it. I think people are learning more and more about the independents that are going on, and I think you guys definitely deserve some credit for that. So thank you guys for what you do.
And we enjoy doing it. And I think our goal is we want people, to watch our streams, but we want people to go check out the shows. Like I said, support independent wrestling. Because, for the price that of admission they're going to pay, they're going to get really entertained about any show they go to. I'm sure there's some shows that may not be the best, but every show we've been to has been real good. So I definitely want the fans to go check them out.
And we've been to some shows that absolutely deserve to be in front of more people than what's there.
Yeah, and that's and it's awesome that you guys are doing that, because I've heard multiple people. So I don't know if you guys can hear my dog in the background or not. So I apologize. He's getting excited. I think he knows it's time to eat. But no, it's awesome to see what you guys are doing, and it's awesome to see you guys promoting the independents out there, and it definitely makes life easier when there's more people there or more people watching via YouTube to make our art a lot easier.
All right, well, we appreciate that. We thank you for joining, and you're welcome to come on anytime you'd like.
Chris, and thank you, Tony, and y'all have a good night.
Yeah, same to you.
All right. Hope everybody enjoyed that. I thought it was a great conversation. And we had a few people in the comment section.
Yeah, we did. What did the one person say about some crappy?
Wanted to know if because it was the same guy that had asked the question about what's the best way to get started, and he said find a good trainer and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the same guy asked us, he said WCWO doesn't fall under crappy training, does it? I don't know if the guy knows him or not. Thanks. He said thanks. Marcus Fine said he agrees 100%. And then Tim Stepp, thanks guys. That was a great interview. It was not. I love it when we start getting people in the comment section interacting.
Yeah.
That makes the show a lot funner and better.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for joining us. Don't forget, we will be live this evening, 7 p.m. Eastern, with the guys from DCCW. It's going to be a G.W.R. combined DCCW Coondog Corner. It'll be live on the Delaware County Championship Wrestling Facebook page, our Facebook page, and our YouTube.
When you're on Coondog Corner, anything can happen.
Yeah, I know. As far as I know, both of them are going to be here. So
it should be a good show. We're a week away from DCCW's show this Saturday. Rock and Roll Never Dies, featuring the Rock and Roll Express on their farewell tour. So I mean, it should be a great show. Promoting that. Getting ready for that show Saturday. So should hopefully have some interesting news, and hopefully everybody tune in.
Yeah, don't forget. Also, we are a ticket outlet. If you need to get tickets for this weekend show, it's at the National Guard Armory here in Muncie, Indiana. You can contact me on the GS or the GSR social medias, or on my Facebook at Chris D. Gonzalez. I'll get to get you a ticket. Front row is sold out. All that's left is general admission, $10. We'd love to see a packed house there for the Rock and Roll Express.
They're going to be at the National Guard Armory. It's going to be their first show there. That's a new home, so anxious to to see what that's going to look like. And they always have nice setups and stuff. So I'm expecting a really great show.
And also, we will have a special GSR tonight at 10 o'clock p.m. And we'll talk about the Super Bowl and that stuff. We're going to move it to 10 since we're doing the wrestling show with DCCW. And
go ahead. I think you're going to plug the other thing.
This Thursday at 7 o'clock, we're going to be re-airing DCCW's Harvest Havoc. It's from back in October of 2021. It's a great show featuring Rikishi, the Boogeyman, Samu, and a lot of guys that we just talked about. Blake Money Wright was there.
Yeah.
Actually, he wrestled against Logan Myers.
Yep. Dex Royal.
Dex Royal, the highlight reel. So a lot of the guys we just talked about in this interview are on that card. It was a great show. We're going to re-air it Thursday night, kind of get everybody ready for the wrestling show this weekend.
Yeah. For people that haven't seen DCCW, check out that show. I guarantee it'll make you want to go to the show on Saturday night. That's one reason we're re-airing it, because it was a fantastic show, and that's what you get from DCCW.
All right. Well, we thank everybody for joining us, and we will see you guys either hopefully tonight at 7, or if not, we'll see you tonight at 10, or we'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern for Easy Money, a sports betting show. All right.